This game is Zombies, Monsters, Robots, a really, really cool game. However, the only thing is, it doesn't really work anymore. It used to be on Steam, and if you download it on Steam, which doesn't even have a Steam page anymore, but if you used to have it and you can still re-download it, you get the launcher, but then it says it's unable to connect to the login system, which means that it doesn't work anymore. Or does it? So yes, ZMR does in fact still work, which was something that I was sort of amazed to find out, because this game shut down at least 2 years ago, but I think it might have been 3 years ago. I'm not exactly sure. Also, the gameplay you see in the background right now is of the actual game, just a match that I recorded to put in the background of this video while I talk. And ignore the little script error thing that popped up when I did the second launcher. That's just like a HTML thing because of the website it connects to. It's not actually an error with the game. It's like just a script error or whatever with how the launcher like loaded something in. Anyway, that happens every time you launch it right now. It doesn't actually affect the game itself, just like causes an error for something, some picture on the launcher or whatever. Anyway, so yes, Zombies, Monsters, Robots is the game that came out quite a while ago. Like I said, it shut down in, I believe, 2017 was the year that it shut down. So it's been shut down for about 3 years. And it's a really, really cool game. And it sucks that it shut down because, well, shut down at least in the US and other regions. Because it's a really cool game. It's sort of hard to explain exactly what it is. It doesn't really have a story. It's a free-to-play game. I don't really know. You just kind of go and fight stuff, really. Zombies, monsters, robots, and other things. And the levels are completely, like, widely varied. There's levels in, like, ancient Egypt. There's levels, like, on the moon. There's levels in, like, train stations, like this one. There's all sorts of different levels. There's tons of weapons. There's tons of enemies. There's tons of customization stuff. There's just so much stuff packed into this game, which is why I really, really liked it. It's just a very enjoyable game to play. It's just fun. And it's also got reasonably good gameplay. It's not like one of those free-to-play games that you kind of like it's hard to play, because I know some free-to-play games can be just sort of confusing, or the controls aren't good or whatever. A lot of free-to-play games always end up having just something wrong with them. ZMR, in my opinion, doesn't have very much wrong with it. It's not necessarily the prettiest looking game, but I think all of the positives of how much fun it is to play really make up for that. So anyway, as for what I was saying earlier, this game shut down in the US and other regions a while ago, but it did not shut down in one region, Latin America. And also, technically, I don't think it shut down in China either, but the Chinese version, that's a pain to do because I don't speak any Chinese. However, I do speak some Spanish, so the Latin American version was not too challenging to install. So what ended up happening, how I kind of wandered across this, was I got bored the other day, and sometimes when I get bored, I'll just like look up old video games that have shut down that I liked playing to see if maybe it got a sequel that I didn't hear about, or maybe there's been a private server put up or something like that. And one of the games I was checking in on the other day was ZMR, and I ended up finding myself on the Zombies, Monsters, Robots Reddit site, which I was confused because I saw that there were still people posting things on Reddit, and they were like gameplay videos, but they were from like just a month ago, and I was like, wait, how did they post that a month ago when the game has been shut down for 3 years? And then I realized that all of them had not just ZMR in the title, but they had ZMR Latino in the title. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And if you looked at them, it was the Spanish, well, not Spanish, but Latin American version of the game. It was all in Spanish. And I was like, is the game still up somewhere? And then I just typed in ZMR Latino online, and of all the places, I ended up on this website that sells like hacking tools. I obviously didn't buy any because I don't cheat at video games, but sells like hacking tools, and it said this only works on the Latin American / Accesso 5 version of ZMR. And I'm like, what's the Accesso 5 or Accesso 5 version of the game? And then I looked that up, and sure enough, Accesso 5 is a video game like service kind of in Latin America that has a whole bunch of free-to-play games other than ZMR. They've got a couple other ones. I've heard a bunch of stuff while I was looking up the ZMR stuff about this game called Zula, which also seems to be a pretty big deal. But long story short, they have all these games, and you can make an account and play them. And from what I can tell, they don't really seem to care about like where you actually live. Like, I know sometimes video games are geo-locked and stuff like that with certain regions. That's why sometimes it's such a pain to play games that are like in Asia, like Call of Duty Online. I think people have been calling for that to be released in other regions for like years, and it's just such a pain to actually play that. that because you have to have like a Chinese ID and stuff to play that game. Acceso Cinco doesn't really seem to care where you're actually playing from. There's not any sort of weird process with signing up where you need to like tell them your address or anything. You just make an account and you can play. I even tweeted at them in English and they liked my tweet, and they have other, like on some of the YouTube videos, people said, hey, can I play this in Europe? And they were like, yeah. So anyway, the Acceso Cinco version of the game still exists. So after kind of running through and figuring out how to download that, which I'm gonna make another video possibly really soon, but also it might take me a couple weeks to get it done with, just depending on how much time I have. Gonna make another video where I explain how to actually download it and play it and everything. But I downloaded it, and yeah, sure enough, it is ZMR. I don't know if it's gotten any like new updates or anything over the past couple of years. I don't think there's really been like new items added or anything, but it's still active. There's still plenty of players that are playing it. They still do like special events like double XP and stuff like that. So like Acceso Cinco still is taking care of it. And it's just kind of crazy that this game, which I mean, it wasn't super popular, but it had a little bit of a community in like the English speaking world on Steam, that it's been running for like 3 years in Latin America and nobody has seemed to really notice that, which is just kind of wild. So anyway, that's all I really have to say for this video, because like I said, I'm going to put the whole downloading process in another video. It's actually not that challenging to do because Spanish is not that hard of a language to understand, even if you don't speak it. If you speak like English or whatever, a lot of words in Spanish are similar to English words. And also, I do understand some Spanish, so I was able to do most of it, and then I'll be able to show you guys how to do it without, if you don't know Spanish. Anyway, so it's not that challenging to download. It's a little bit weird, the process you have to go through to download it, but it's not that hard, and that'll be in another video soon. Anyway, I think if I timed everything out correctly, there's still a good 10 or so minutes of gameplay left, so I'm just gonna leave you guys with that and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Gotcha! Hostile neutralized. Get ready for the next round.
Come on!
Neutralized. Get ready for the next round.
Reloading!
Great work, team.